Nice to meet you. My name is Paolo Sammicheli. I'm an agile business coach from Siena, located in the south of Tuscany, Italy. I work as a Scrum trainer with Scrum Inc., the company founded by Jeff Sutherland, co-author of Scrum and the Agile Manifesto. I wrote two books, Scrum for Hardware, where with hardware I intend a complex product that is composed by software, electronics, mechanical parts. It might have an engine, wheels and move, or wings and fly. My second book is titled Scrum in AI, Artificial Intelligence Agile Development with Scrum. Today, we are going to talk about how hardware development is changing and some examples from some of the industrial manufacturing clients. In school, many of us studied the three industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution originated in England around 1760. Thanks to mechanization and steam power, we had several innovations. It involved agriculture, transportation, finance, and industrial manufacturing. Many agricultural workers moved from the countryside to the cities, finding employment in the emerging industry. In the second industrial revolution, the technological innovations are no longer the result of occasional and individual discoveries, but specialized research in scientific labs and universities financed by companies and governments. The third industrial revolution saw the effects of the massive introduction of electronics, telecommunications, and information technology since 1970. These three revolutions saw a massive change across 2 centuries in technology, but not a radical shift in leadership and organizations. The metaphor of the organization is a machine with a big emphasis on efficiency. To manage a large organization, the typical approach is the separation of concerns and rigid management with a command and control approach. Individual performances are rewarded, and the sense of competition between colleagues is the tool to reach high performances. Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, defines the fourth industrial revolution as the following. In the new world, it's not the big fish which eats the small fish. It's the fast fish which eats the slow fish. The world is completely interconnected, and effects are observed globally. We live in a VUCA world where volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity are the norm. The leadership style and the organizational structure we successfully used in the previously industrial revolutions are no longer effective. We need to change. And like Jack Welch, former General Electric CEO, used to say, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near. Needs flagging in a book Organize for Complexity introduce an interesting concept. Taylor's bathtub from Frederick Winslow Taylor, author of The Principles of Scientific Management. The shift we are talking about ranges from the micro markets before the 18th century to the mass markets around the 19th and the 20th centuries. In other terms, from craftsmanship to the industrial economy, and what today we call the creative economy. With the craftsman economy, there was no separation between thinkers and doers. We had the shift with Taylor. He believed in transferring control from workers to management. He defined the rigid distinction between mental and manual labor. Detailed plans specifying the job and how it was to be done were formulated by management and communicated to workers. But the creative economy, with the increasing complexity of the challenges, does not allow separating thinkers and doers anymore. Complexity requires a systemic view rather than divide et impera. Although, on the other hand, the level of today's sophistication requires a larger number of skill sets that cannot stay in the mind of a lonely genius. So, collaboration is even more needed. And so, this is the topic of my first book, Scrum for Hardware, that you can have for free with the link on the screen. How can we respond to these challenges? Many companies are using teamwork as a solution. Research shows that collaborative problem solving leads to better outcomes. Working in a team encourages personal growth, increase job satisfaction, and reduce stress. And people are more likely to take calculated risks that lead to innovation if they have the support of a team behind them. Let's see some examples of using an agile framework like Scrum to foster teamwork in industrial manufacturing. Sysma is an Italian company that produces laser systems like welding, marking, engraving, cutting, etc. They also produce 3D printing systems and jewelry tooling. They wanted to improve their agility, and so they decided to try Scrum. And they started with a laser system value stream. For launching the first set of teams, we organized a workshop involving about 25 people from different departments. And together we mapped all the tasks of the laser machining value stream. This value stream map captured all the activities from concept to cash, meaning from pre-sale until installation and post-sale customer services. In the same workshop, for each macro step of the value stream map, we mapped the needed skills. The mapped skills included competencies, domain skills, and soft skills. And then we grouped these skills in professional profiles, where we identified 19 professional profiles. And then we sent a self-assessment to all the employees. Thanks to this data, we built a skill matrix for each employee. And thanks to these skill matrices, we brainstormed the possible team compositions. And we compared the team skill heat map, meaning the map of the cumulative skills of each hypothetical team. With this visualization, we could ask everybody for feedback about the possible composition and form the teams in a balanced way. So we started forming the first two teams dedicated to the laser machines with high customization. We led them to define their working agreements, their definition of done, their values, and everything they needed to be clarified before starting. But before starting, we needed to change the species. And so we moved desks and walls and created a dedicated space where the Scrum teams could have their events, such as the sprint planning at the beginning of the sprint, the daily Scrum every day, and the sprint reviews and retrospectives at the end of the sprint. Single module redesign can be quickly prototyped to reduce risk while maintaining a lead time with a sprint of 2 weeks. Teams' freedom of initiative and the necessary support, tool, and budget to build rapid prototyping was fundamental to reducing risk quickly and collect feedback. And when development can stay within one or two Scrum teams, like we have seen, the frequent communication provided by Scrum is excellent and just enough. But when in need of coordinating multiple teams and external vendors, things become more challenging. So you will need a scaling framework like Scrum at Scale. Vimar, based in Veneto, Italy, produces home automation solutions. When in need of developing the new house automation platform, they adopted Scrum at Scale. The initial alignment was critical to understanding the product's vision and building the first product backlog using the user story mapping technique. To keep all the teams and vendors involved aligned, we used the scaled daily Scrum event just after the team's daily Scrum. The people prioritizing the vendor product backlogs weren't project managers like usually company do, but senior developers, members of a Scrum team in charge of integrating and taking ownership of everything coming from that vendor. This way, we could have total ownership of the whole product and reduce the friction of multiple vendors' contributions. The sprint planning followed the buffet pattern, and we use stripes of paper to facilitate the conversation and the negotiation between teams and vendors regarding who should develop what. We behave like a real buffet where you can't take too little because it would not be polite, but you can take too much because you have to eat whatever you take. It takes just around 1 hour of discussions for deciding what to do. At the end of the hour, every team shares with the others what they selected, and the chief product owner checks the table to see if there are high priority items still there. And in that case, very rare to be honest, teams are asked to volunteer to replace something they have with the remaining high priority items. And thanks to the total ownership of the whole product, we had only one sprint review, where to inspect the entire increment every 2 weeks, implementing the concept of continuous integration with software and hardware development together. The different products were installed in several movable panels. They could also be taken into the development room during the sprint for convenience for the developers. And so again, changing the office space to accommodate the team's needs was critical to building a productive environment. And hardware, differently from software, needs to be produced, and this can take time and resources. So, how could we foster teamwork also in production? Pietro Fiorentini is an oil and gas company that, after 20 years of seriously implementing lean manufacturing, decided to embrace Scrum to get effectiveness together with efficiency. The product we are talking about now is not the one you see in a picture, that is a gas pressure regulator. The product is the production line for that gas pressure regulator. Like Elon Musk often repeats, it's the machine that builds the machine that matters. The developers came from different departments: tooling, maintenance, logistics, and they formed a cross functional team capable of building the assembly line with minimal external dependencies. The space was critical again. This team got an area next to the existing production line, and there they could brainstorm, experiment, and build all the cells of the line. They used a combination of lean 3P and event driven cross functional team process and Scrum. They had user stories such as an operator, I want to insert the valve in the regulator. With each user story, they used the try-storming approach, prototyping with cardboard first, then wood, and finally aluminum and steel. The prototyping techniques also included 3D printing to shorten the feedback loop. The product backlog was created visualizing the architectural fishbone of the assembly. We highlighted in green the steps that we knew were clear, and in red the steps that the other team developing the product did not release yet. Having the product development and the assembly line development working together at the same time allows for great agility and a significant reduction of the time to market. And so everything was collected in a single sprint backlog, visualizing all the work of the current sprint, the unplanned work and the interruptions, and the continuous improvement work from the retrospectives. And sprint reviews were very engaging, interactive, and also very noisy, since we are in an industrial plant. And so we used the microphone and speakers. So, what do we learn from these companies? Modern challenges increase complexity, and the exponential innovation pose the question of changing the paradigm of working. Growing manufacturing companies are using teamwork as an antidote to these challenges. Scrum is a unique tool to launch and operate a network of teams with a minimum viable bureaucracy. And for some, these concepts are already the way of working today. So, what is next for them? Last year, my friend Joe Justice said at the same conference, I think we should rephrase the Agile Manifesto with individual and robots interactions over processes and tools. Is a cross-functional team of humans and artificial intelligence the future of hardware development? If you are interested, you might want to check my second book, Artificial Intelligence Agile Development with Scrum, where I try to collect the best I know today about this subject. You can get it for free with this link. Thank you everybody for the attention.